If you've been at my channel for some time, you know that I absolutely love watching movies and series. I know I make reviews and pinpoint their flaws sometimes, but that's because I'm really passionate about good stories. However, what many of you don't know is I also love musical plays. And one of my favorite musicals is Dear Evan Hansen. During the pandemic, I watched the movie, but it never really made an impact on me. However, people were saying that it's the songs that actually make Dear Evan Hansen so special. So, I decided to give it a shot by listening to the songs. But you know what's really funny? I clicked the wrong playlist. Instead of listening to the songs from the movie, I ended up listening to the original Broadway musical. And they just blew me away. Ever since then, I've listened to the playlist non-stop. And thankfully, after listening to it for years and eventually memorizing the lyrics, I finally watched the musical play. And just wow, it was surreal to finally hear the songs live. That experience made me curious. How different is the musical from the movie? As I've said before, the movie never truly made an impact on me. But maybe that's because I didn't know the songs back then. So now that I've memorized all the songs and finally watched the stage play, it's time to take a look back at the movie and compare it to the musical. Hi, I'm Zidney, and this is Dear Evan Hansen, the movie versus the musical. Okay, so before we get into the differences between the movie and the musical, obviously these are two different mediums. So of course, their stories would be portrayed differently. But even with that in mind, I still think it's worth asking, what makes one version stand out more than the other? If you have a chance to watch the musical, always watch the musical. Even though it's more expensive, there's just something about watching everything live. Anyway, as I've said, since movies and musicals are two different things, you could really tell how different they are, especially in how they perform the songs. Both the film and musical open with Evan writing a letter to himself. But the movie disregards the first song of the musical, Anybody Have a Map? Which was a shame because I really like this song. That opening number does more than just start the story. It introduces us to Connor's family dynamics. While the movie still portrayed Evan and his mom's relationship, it failed to establish the Murphys right away. Instead, it jumped immediately into waving through the window. Next, the film replaces Disappear with The Anonymous Ones, a song written specially for the film. This also changes the origin of the Connor Project. Instead of Evan being the sole creator of the Connor Project, with a little push from imaginary Connor, it was Alana who came up with the Connor Project in the film. They also removed To Break in a Glove. I actually didn't mind this much. It's not exactly my favorite song, but the movie still references that moment when Larry mentions buying Connor a baseball glove to reconnect with him. I like that the film gave Connor more personality, especially through small moments like this. Then there's Good For You, which they also cut, and that one really hurt. In the musical, it's such a powerful moment. Heidi, Alana, and Jared all confront Evan at once. The emotions, the chaos, the anger, it's electric. It's the song where everything comes crashing down for Evan. The movie toned that all down into quieter scenes. I wish they'd kept it because Good For You is one of those songs that perfectly captures the fallout of Evan's lies. Plus, it's just a fun song to sing. The movie did, however, add A Little Closer, sung by Connor during therapy. This one made me tear up. It's a rare moment where we actually see Connor alive, singing and writing music. It gave his character depth and humanity, showing that he was trying, even if things still ended tragically. Overall, while the film kept most of the songs, the stage show gave so much more life. The musical performances were powerful and raw. You could feel every note. Meanwhile, the movie versions were quieter, more toned down. Maybe because of the medium. I get it. But that's also why Broadway fans were so upset. Anyway, while most of the cast in the film sang a little thinly, Ben Platt still sang passionately. And speaking of Ben Platt, the Broadway musical Dear Evan Hansen premiered in 2015 with 22-year-old Ben Platt as the main character. He played Evan for years, and when they decided to make a film, they still chose to cast him as the main character. However, that comes as a problem because 28-year-old Ben Platt no longer looks believable as an awkward high school student. That's the thing about film. Even though there are times when you really have to suspend all disbelief, it's still important to make it as realistic as possible, and that includes casting the right people for it. While it's no doubt Ben can portray Evan's awkwardness and sing so passionately, people still find it hard to believe that he's a teenager. That's actually the major criticism of the film when it first came out. And honestly, I kind of get it. I personally found it funny to see 28-year-old Ben Platt portray 17-year-old Evan Hansen. I already knew Ben Platt from Pitch Perfect 2, when he was playing a college student. So I knew that he was really too old for a high school student. But other than his physical appearance, they also made some changes with Evan's personality. In the musical, he is more proactive. He was the one who said that he and Connor exchanged emails using Connor's secret email, unlike in the film where it was Cynthia who came to the conclusion and he just agreed. And as I've mentioned before, while comparing Disappear and the anonymous ones, musical Evan was the one who pioneered the Connor project. So in the musical, Evan had a more active role in the progression of the story with the choices he made. While in the film, Evan just went along with what everyone else wanted to hear and do. The film, however, added accountability on Evan's part. Instead of just ending the story with no one else finding out about Evan's lies about his friendship with Connor, the film has Evan admitting online that he fabricated everything. I really appreciated that change. Accountability. He even goes further by researching Connor's life, reading his books, and talking to the people who knew him. I actually like that part. It showed Evan trying to make amends. So overall, I prefer movie Evan for his accountability. Still, Ben Platt as a high schooler? Ridiculous, but I don't mind it that much. And of course, Evan's not the only one who changed. In the musical, Connor feels like more of a symbol than a character. We barely get to know him, but the film fleshes him out a bit more. We learn he liked baseball when he was younger, and we even see him performing a little closer. It made him more human, and not just the kid who died. Larry also got an interesting change. Instead of being Connor and Zoe's biological dad, he's their stepfather. Their real dad died when Zoe was 1. This little tweak added depth, especially when Cynthia reminds Larry that Connor wasn't really his son. Ouch! The film also gives a small moment between Evan and his own dad. Not much, but enough to add another layer to his loneliness. While the film's additions were nice, the novel adaptation of Dear Evan Hansen actually gave even more backstory to everyone. It's funny how this story started as a musical, became a book, and then a movie. It's usually the other way around. But in a way, it's great that each version adds something new. So now that we've talked about songs, characters, and backstories, it's time to settle it once and for all. So, between the musical and the movie, which is better? Critics would say the stage show, hands down. Many even called the film a flop. I honestly enjoyed both, just for very different reasons. The stage play has always been a dream for me. The songs were breathtaking, the acting phenomenal, and even though it wasn't the original Broadway cast, everyone did amazing. Sonny Monaghan, who played our Evan, completely nailed it. It's an experience the movie can never replicate. That said, while I absolutely despise the fact that they removed so many of the original songs, and what songs were left couldn't even compare to the musical. I still appreciated how the film gave more depth to the characters. Maybe it's because I watched the film alone, but it actually made me cry more than the musical did. I'm such a sucker for sad movies. Although in both versions, words fail, never fails to make me cry. No, I'd rather pretend I'm something better than these broken parts. Pretend I'm something other than this mess that I am. I never let them see the worst of me. Because what if everyone saw? What if everyone knew? Would they like what they saw? Or would they hate it too? Evan was just spitting relatable facts. You can really feel his self-loathing. How he's sick and tired of who he is. There's such a heavy weight behind every word he sings. It's really intense. Now, before I share my final thoughts, I want to talk about what the story really meant to me. I think people were way too harsh on the film. It's a bit messy, sure, but it tried its best to deliver such a beloved story. Though seriously, they couldn't include all the Broadway songs. Fine, move on, Sydney. Many hated the movie because they didn't like Evan. Well, newsflash, Evan wasn't exactly a hero in the musical either. And that's the point. I'm not justifying what he did. Evan's lies were terrible. But how many of us have felt the way he did? Sure, we didn't fabricate an entire friendship, but we've all wished that somehow someone could just notice us. And I mean really see us. That's what makes Dear Evan Hansen hit so deeply. It's not about a perfect person doing the right thing. Beneath all the lies and awkwardness, it's about a lonely, broken person who desperately wants to be seen. And honestly, I can't help but think about the times when I felt invisible too. But somehow, in those moments of silence and self-doubt, God met me right where I was. It actually reminds me of the prophet Elijah. After faithfully serving God, he ran for his life when Jezebel threatened him. Exhausted and overwhelmed, Elijah told God that he'd had enough, that he wanted to die. But God didn't scold him. Instead, he let Elijah rest. He let him eat. And then, when Elijah was ready, God revealed himself, not in the wind, or the earthquake, or the fire, but in a gentle whisper. It's as if God was telling him, Elijah, I'm here, you're not alone. And he reminded Elijah that there were still 7,000 others who hadn't bowed down to Baal. Elijah felt alone, but he wasn't. God met him where he was and reminded him that with him, Elijah would always be found. That's why Dear Evan Hansen speaks to me so much. It's a timeless story about feeling invisible. A story we've all lived in some way. But just like Elijah, we're reminded that even in the quiet and the chaos, we're not alone. Whether through music, story, or scripture, God keeps whispering the same truth. You will be found. With Jesus, our Emmanuel, God with us, we will always be found. Before I officially end, let me just say that no matter what the critics say about the movie, Amy Adams was such a fantastic delusional mom. I've known her from Enchanted, where she also plays a delusional princess. And she just captures that emotion so well. Also, Steven Chbosky directed the film. And honestly, why am I not surprised? It's not the first time he's made a story about someone who feels invisible. The perks of being a wallflower, anyone? Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.